Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you here. And do you recognize this? Do you recognize this tank? It's a Japanese Type 90 tank, as I am led to believe. But besides the fact that it is based on a real world tank, do you recognize who this is? Well, this mold has actually been used a few times. And recently I did a look at the Transformers Prime Cyberverse bludgeon figure and talked about just kind of how awful that thing turned out. I see what they were going for, but it just didn't translate well. And I mentioned there that you could either wait for the new upcoming Warrior Class RID version, or you could go back in time a little bit. And we're going to go back in time and take a look at the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen Voyager Class Bludgeon in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor. Spend some time on the page. Have a look at Universal Collision. That's up and going with new episodes every 2 weeks during the season. And check me out everywhere, and we're going to kind of jump into this guy. I infinitely love him more than I did that Transformers Prime incarnation. So much better. So much better. And you would think, looking at pictures, that he kind of looks like he'd be a difficult mess. And he's really not. At all. It's actually a pretty beautiful mold. Paint apps. Okay. Right back here, you will notice we have some orange tires. The black is there. This whole section was painted black with the idea that it would tie in better with what's down under here. The problem is the paint app was put on the wrong side, and the black paint app is actually on the inside instead of on the outside. We also have this gray one here. I might end up painting those black just for my own purposes, but such a minor gripe. In his robot mode, as you'll see, his paint apps are fantastic. Because we don't, have a lot to go on other than the original toy, the interpretation of the little robot inside, along with the Pretender shell, I think comes together so nicely in this figure. I'm going to give it a 10. I think it all came out looking great. Even the mistake that was made here, it really doesn't hurt it, and in robot mode I think that the orange thighs kind of match better anyway. So I'm digging it. I really am digging it. In this mode, he rolls great. Now he has rubber treads here and here, here and here. He actually has rubber treads, but he has 4 little tires here to roll on, and all of them roll freely. That's the beauty of it. They all roll so nice, and you can certainly see some robot-esque kibble underneath here. But he rolls great. The turret can go, all the way around on what seems to be a clicky ratchet. The only disappointment is that the turret can't aim up. That's too bad. That's a real shame. This little gun here, it can move. And I look at it and I keep thinking, though there's no spot really for it, I keep thinking, what a great place to put a Titan Master. You kind of talk about compatibility with other lines and stuff. This is a perfect Titan Master toy if you like those things. Or Titan Master gun, I guess, if you like those things. I think it's fantastic. Now, you're not really going to be able to peg it on, but what are you going to do? A lot of times, I start my figures out when I show them in bot mode because that's how they come in the box. This guy came in the box like this, and he looked glorious. Absolutely glorious. Love this mode. Totally love it. In terms of posability, playability, well, like I said, it rolls like a champ. That stuff moves. This don't quite go up. When he's in robot mode, as you'll see, quite stellar. couple of little minor gripes, couple of them. I'm going to give his posability, playability a strong 8.5 because of the little gripes that I have, and I'll talk about those more. One being this turret not able to go up. Yeah, so he has a 10 paint apps, he has a strong 8.5 posability, playability. The guy is scoring a 9.25. Let's jump into transformation and you'll see just how easy this actually is. I hope he works with me. Normally he does. Now, I'll say this, when I got him, again, I got him for $3. Canadian, $3. Usually when you see him in the aftermarket, he's still going for kind of your average Voyager price when I see him. He's worth it. I just really lucked out. He is totally worth it. That being said, he's also 100% complete, except for instructions. I never had them, and he was kind of mid-transformation when I got him, so I really had to try and figure out how to get him in one mode or the other, and I got him in the robot mode first. And I'm going to tell you, without instructions and mid-transformation, there is a section that you're going to struggle with. But I'm about to show you how to do it so you don't have to struggle with it at all. So, where are we going to begin here to do this? Well, we're going to take the camera back a bit so we got room here to work. I'm also going to discuss something else as we go through here that you've probably heard talked about. You've probably tried it yourself, and if you haven't, well, I'm going to kind of give you a really quick crash course on it. Anyway, we begin by pulling these rubber pieces off, and the nice thing is these rubber pieces, you'll see a little orange tab here and a little orange tab here. The rubber pieces have little holes in them that just go on over it. These are soft rubbery plastic except for the sections that tab on over these little notches. That's hard plastic, just as it should be, which is great because hopefully it won't tear or anything over time. So you undo the two of those from that side and you do the same over there. So you have these treads now all just sort of hanging loose. You take his hip skirt and you untab it. It has a little green tab up here that goes to a little slot down here on this black piece. You just untab it and kind of leave it be. And outside of that, for now, we're going to start sort of trying to get everything apart. He tabs them really well. I would suggest turning the turret... Oh, sorry. First I would suggest... This is the hardest part. Untabbing all of this because it does tab in quite well. There you go. You got that side out. You can take this green back panel and loosen it. There are notches and tabs all along this back panel, and it goes into these two side pieces here that will become part of his hip skirt later on. But it's a great guide. So you untab that, you untab from the side, and you got all of this now kind of just free flowing. And you're right, he does sort of look like a mess at this time. I would take the turret for now and turn it to the side. It makes it easier to work with this guy. So you got the turret turned to the side. I feel like I need to back this up a bit more because he's a big boy. Get this up out of the way. So now we have room here to work. Untab that green and that green. And you will probably notice now that this piece has like a gray hinge on the inside. This piece has a gray hinge on the inside. So what do you do with that? I said that they're going to become hip skirts. And they will. This whole black piece was folded forward for the legs to face back this way. So you take this black piece first and you fold it in over here. So now it's folded in around this gray center mass, basically. Now you want to move these to what is going to look like the back of the leg, even though it's not actually the back of the leg. See if I can show this. Maybe on this side. Might be easier. Okay. See if I can show this. In here, in the red, there's a notch cut out. This gray armature needs to fit down flush in that notch. So you're going to take this and bring it through to the back. The tolerances are kind of tight sometimes with this guy. And you're going to push it down until it is completely flush. Like that. Completely flush. And then you take this whole leg piece and you fold it in. So it's folding in under the black piece that you put up around this gray center mass. You come to this side, and again you fold it through. You make sure that the leg is facing down so that you can, here's the thing, make sure that this leg is facing down so that you can actually get that gray piece to go flush. See if I can turn this maybe to show you better. This whole gray armature needs to go flush on the inside of that red leg or red hip piece. And then you take the whole thing here and you fold it in again. You can now kind of angle these down a little bit and pull out this little section here, and you might say, what's that little section for? That looks weird. It does look weird, you're right, that looks very weird. You turn the leg and you turn the leg so that you have the orange shins out front. You come to the back and you pull out this little green section and you flip out his foot. Put that little green section back down and fold that little piece back down. You come to this side and again, you fold that little piece down so it releases kind of his knee, we'll say, for when we need articulation there. We open this up, we fold out his foot. We bring this back down. There's his lower body done, even though his feet look really odd, but it kind of matches this guy. Next, before we push this up or bring this down or anything, let's go to the very top and we split it. We bring it all the way down to the side. His arms, his forearms, and his fists, which are folded into the forearms, are tabbed up here and up here. So you're going to, you guessed it, untab and untab. They fit snugly but not too tight. Bring these down and turn the shoulder and turn the shoulder so that the bulk of the shoulder is now facing towards you. Fold this orange piece down, fold this orange piece down. Next, just straighten up his arm, flip out his hand. Straighten up his arm and flip out his hand. Beautiful. We're almost there. The next part is kind of fun. I really do sort of dig the next part. You're going to push this whole gray armature up. His head is going to automorph out. Gray armature. And that pushing that up is, it's difficult to get a handle on where you want to push. I find anyway. There you go. Push that up. Bring his hip skirt down. And you might say, are we done? We are almost done. We're just about done. You come to his back and you rotate the turret this way, and then you can take hold of a piece over here. Is it this side? Yeah. And open it all the way out. And you might say, well, why are you bothering to open that all the way out? Why would you do that? Well, we do that for a couple of reasons. And by the way, boom, here he is now in his robot mode. That being said, we do this for a couple of reasons. Because there's a sheath in here that has a, I don't know if I'm saying this right, a tanto blade, I'm not sure. Here it is, up close. You know, it's just a little knife. That being said, if it's in the sheath back here, he can actually reach his hand back to the sheath and actually grab it, which is awesome for display pictures and stuff. Of course, he can hold it in his hand, just as a, you know, martial arts samurai-esque Decepticon should. But that's not the only weapon he has. This whole piece up here also comes out, and it is a katana. Apparently this is a katana. It's huge, it's beautiful, it's probably the best sword that we've ever gotten. And it too can fit in his hand a lot tighter. I find it a bit of a challenge to get it in. But, you know, there you go. I mean, he has two swords. That's basically what we end up with for this guy. Well, a knife and a sword. We're still not done though. We're still not done because you have another option. You can take out that one and take out this one if it wants to come, and laying that again back there. And I realize a lot of this has been from a distance, but because I want to kind of show these up closer. You'll notice that in the katana you have a hole. And you have a peg for the smaller blade. It can fit in there. Now you have a double-bladed weapon. I don't know what it is, but come on, that's cool. That is cool. Absolutely love it. Absolutely, positively love it. You can also, if you want, use this slot over here and the little one that I pulled out here. The smaller blade can go in a sheath here on the side, while the larger blade can go in through the other sheath. And you can have both of them along his side, like this. I think that's glorious. He looks like such a skull-faced samurai. It's fantastic. That being said, you know, you have storage for the weapon in here, right there. That's very appropriate. Excellent storage in bot mode. Excellent storage in vehicle mode. How can you not love that? Articulation for the guy. Well, the head can go left and right. I'm not particularly struck on the head sculpt, however, because I feel like those red eyes are just too big. But such a minor gripe. The arm, especially if you know, close this up and you can straighten it up. I mean, the arm can go all the way around. It can go, you know, because of the transformation hinge and the arm hinge, it can reach up like that high. It can come down. There's really a double elbow that lets you, you know, get a complete full range of motion. Right there. Right there. It's not always the prettiest sculpt-wise, but it's certainly there. You have a bicep swivel. The hands can go in and out because of transformation. There is no waist, but sort of understandable, I think. The legs can only go out this far. That's too bad. It's effective. It's fine because this guy's big, but it is a little bit too bad. There's molding up in, I'll lift this up, there's molding up in the thigh, so when you rotate the thigh, the molding up there actually moves. And then naturally there's a thigh swivel. The legs can only go back about that far because of the way the black hip piece is molded. But it can go all the way forward like that. And we have a 90-degree knee. By the way, all of this pretty much is ratchets. Ratcheted knee, ratchet to the side, ratchet front, back. The shoulders aren't, but the legs, they totally are. Even his heel can bend a little bit, if you can call this little spur a heel. And does he have ankle tilt? Not really. You might get a little bit out of it, but nothing worth talking about. Because of the, you know, limitations with the legs going out to the side. And because of the lack of a waist swivel, that's why I didn't quite give him a 10. And of course, legs can't go back very far either. But his transformation, as complicated as it seems, is fun, easy. Once you've done it once or twice, a lot of it is really intuitive. I'm giving this transformation a 10. I love it. I think that this is fantastic. It works excellent for him. I think it was a stretch to do it for Megatron, though I could see the homage to the G2 Megatron. And I would love to have this mold for Banzaitron. I think it would work pretty fantastic for him as well. Size-wise, well, you know, here he is with that Transformers Prime bludgeon. You know, a guy who aspires to be a leader in his own right, a guy who will sometimes be scheming enough to fill a power back to him, and who's a vicious, skilled warrior. This is far more imposing than this is ever going to be. And let's compare him to like a Legends class. Here he is with Rewind. I mean, I feel like that's a good scale. That seems like about as big as Rewind should be when compared to Bludgeon. He scales well with Titan's Return Voyagers. He looks big and hefty. He's great. So we had a strong 9.25 because of his articulation and his paint apps. A 10 for transformation. He's a 9.75. He is a great figure and a fantastic bludgeon, and I would say we are hard pressed to get a better one. All that being said, despite a couple of imperfections, I think that the biggest, I won't call it a weakness, but the biggest challenge that people have with this guy comes in terms of, if I can pull it out, comes in terms of his katana blade. And before I go, I want to talk about this thing ever so slightly. It is a hard rubber, but it's a soft hard rubber, if that makes sense to you. It's very pliable. These are bent a lot out of shape, especially from being in the nose cone and packed away, or the nose cone, the muzzle and packed away. Mine was bent very, very badly. Even putting it in and out of his hand, you can see how sort of bent it ever so slightly now as well. And you probably heard a lot of people talk about doing the hot and cold or the flash freezing fix. And maybe you've done it yourself, where you put this in boiling water and then you throw it in the freezer. I don't quite do it that way. I don't quite put it in boiling water. I'm just going to take a second to show you exactly what it is that I do to fix this sort of stuff. I have done it on figures before with hard plastic. I did it on my Voyager class bludgeon, Onslaught, for example. Usually, if you're going to do it that way, you either need vice grips that you're using very gently to hold it in place while you freeze it, or you need, kind of a gentle clamp that you can use to hold things in place while you freeze it. And you're probably going to have to keep it under, in the hot water slightly longer, put it in the cold slightly longer, and it works not as well as it works when you have something that is more of a soft plastic. So I'm going to take a pause here, and you might be surprised where I'm standing in just a second from now. And this, my fine friends, is a sink. Yes, a sink. And this is not just a place where you can do dishes, it's also a repair bay. So I talked about the flash freeze thing, and I mentioned how this sword sometimes gets sort of bent out of shape. Mine is bent out of shape ever so slightly now. Kids, I'm giving the disclaimer right now, do not do this yourself. Get an adult's help. Collectors, adults, be careful what you're doing. In this case, we have, a long piece, so I can hold it here under the water for about 45 seconds. The water should be over on the hot. Leave it until it gets very hot. Steaming is even better. Leave it there for 45 seconds. Harder the plastic, longer you need to leave it. I did the thigh tab on my Voyager class Onslaught and Hotspot, because in Defensor mode and in Bruticus mode, they didn't quite tab in perfectly. The Defensor was worse than the Bruticus. It was pretty much fixed with him. And I wanted it to tab in. So because I had to actually hold the thigh to have the water go over it, hot water was going over my hand. I would advise strongly wearing very thick gloves that are made to withstand extreme temperatures. You do not want to burn yourself at all. Certainly not worth it. Anyway, you would turn it on, you would get it hot, you run the plastic under it, you put the plastic in the position that you want it. So in this case, I would turn it on. I would leave it until it gets hot. I don't want to waste water now, but I would leave it until it gets hot. I would put this under it and hold it there for 45 seconds. I would take it out, And I would, you know, bend it the way I want it, using both hands, of course, because right now I'm holding a camera. Bend it both ways I want it. Then I would immediately take it over here, open up the freezer door, place it inside right there, close the freezer door, leave it for the same time that you had it left in the hot water. So 45 seconds in this case. If you had harder plastic that you left for a minute and a half under the tap, put it in here for a minute and a half, if not a little bit longer. Once the time is up, you open it up, close that, you take it out, and this should be fixed perfectly, beautifully. Anyway, I hope that helps people. I certainly do. That's certainly what it was meant to accomplish. And I guess that's it. So we covered bludgeon, we covered this, and I guess the only thing left to say is thanks for giving me some of your valuable time. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together for another visit right here inside the videos.